All rise for Honorable Judge Mitchell. The bailiff's loud voice cut across the courtroom, silencing the buzz of inquisitive onlookers and seated reporters. Hi guys, it's Ania, and welcome to Reality Recap. The space was not just filled with legal personnel and relatives, but also with fans, detractors, and media figures, all looking to see what most anticipated would be the demise of one of reality television's most polarizing figures, Kody Brown. But today, the cameras weren't on him. It was Christine Brown who held her ground, calm, dignified, and confident, like a mother who had finally stood firm on her line in the sand. Cameras were not allowed inside, but that didn't make a difference. All the reporters there knew that this wasn't some money squabble or custody battle. This was a turning point, one that would redefine the way the world perceived Kody Brown and the values he had long professed to hold dear. To understand the weight of this courtroom drama, let's take a step back. Christine once was the bubbly, smiling, always happy third wife in Kody Brown's plural marriage on TLC's Sister Wives. She had been the glue, the heart, the spiritual center who kept the family together. But behind the picture were decades of sacrifice. While Kody flaunted his love for Robyn and pushed his other wives aside, Christine kept quiet and took care of her kids, managed her home, and endured pain disguised as obligation. That book closed in 2021. Christine boldly and very publicly chose to leave the plural marriage behind, telling us she deserved better, and that she got from the audience. Most of them had witnessed her agony in silence, smiling with evident pain even after the separation. She remained polite for the sake of the children, but Kody did not do the same. According to Christine's lawyers, as soon as she left the spiritual union, Kody stopped regular financial aid. The monthly deposits dried up. No joint payments for healthcare, schooling, or after-school activities. According to her, he had shut her down, not only emotionally but financially as well. And that's why she was here today, not for revenge, but for answerability. Christine's bombshell in court. It never crossed her eyes to glance at Kody as she seated herself next to her lawyers. Her lawyer set down 3 chunky binders on the table, evidence gathered over the course of a year. Voicemails, text messages, receipts, bank statements, emails. It was all carefully documented. The court brief alleged Kody had consistently failed to support their children's most basic needs: school expenses, medical bills, even food. Christine's lawyer began by delivering a biting remark. This case has nothing to do with a vengeful ex-wife, he asserted. It has everything to do with a mother who was forced to raise multiple children on her own. While their father wallowed in national recognition and increased his personal fortune, it's high time this court understands that spiritual or emotional abandonment does not constitute a disregard for parental duty. The judge nodded. The courtroom became quiet. Seated on the other side, Kody fidgeted in discomfort. He wore a blue suit, flanked by his legal team, and Robyn now, his only wife. He looked annoyed, more irritated than concerned. But the concern was coming: Kody's arrogant arrival. That morning, Kody had strolled into the courthouse with arrogance. He dismissed reporters with a wave, sneered at the cameras, and muttered to paparazzi, "This is just Christine trying to stay relevant." That had always been his defense: deflect, distract, diminish. But this courtroom wasn't swayed by celebrity. Christine's lawyers didn't even bring up the TV show. They focused solely on the numbers. Unpaid support in the tens of thousands, ignored texts about medical needs. There was one moment that towered above the rest. Earlier in 2022, Christine had messaged Kody asking if he would be able to assist in helping pay for their daughter's surgery. His supposed reaction? Just 2 words: "Not my problem." When the screenshot was offered, the courtroom gasped. The judge looked straight at Kody and asked, "Is that your response?" Kody leaned in towards the microphone and grumbled, "It's taken out of context." But that wasn't a line that was going to work here. The reality behind the TV persona. One of the main themes of the case was the disconnect between public persona and private behavior. Kody had worked more than a decade establishing the image of a devoted father of 18 kids. He presented his family as a spiritually cohesive But Christine's lawyers pulled back the curtain to something a lot darker. They claimed that Kody had been directing most of the joint family income into Robyn's home, paying for private school for her kids, purchasing high-end goodies, even a new SUV. At the same time, Christine's children went to public school, wore hand-me-downs, and managed to survive on her limited MLM earnings and the occasional cameo videos. A single sentence from Christine's testimony struck hard. He used the spiritual marriage to escape legal obligation. But my kids aren't spiritual, they're real. They eat real food, go to real schools, and have real needs, and Kody has forsaken them. It hit like a punch. Even the judge hesitated for a long time before going on. Kody's silence. Christine's strength. For much of the session, Kody sat slumped with arms crossed over his chest. His lawyer tried to downplay the affair, labeling it a private family issue blown out of proportion, claiming that Kody had done his best in difficult circumstances. But the judge wasn't buying it. At one point, she leaned forward and said, "Mr. Brown, with your earnings from TLC and other TV appearances, would you say that you are financially stable?" "Yes," Kody replied. "Then why did you fail to regularly provide for your minor children since 2021? She asked forcefully. Silence. Christine, on the other hand, never lost her temper and never cried. She didn't need to. Her calmness spoke volumes of the agony she had gone through in silence. She had spoken graciously and now stood firmly in truth. The tension mounts as Session 1 reaches its closing stages. The air in the room grew denser by the second. The judge, thumbing through documents, ordered both sides to come in the following day, ready for testimony from the children, accountants, and complete cross-examination. Christine's lawyer wore a serene smile. They were prepared. Kody let out a breath, less certain of what was ahead. When the courtroom emptied, Christine walked calmly out, head held high. Her daughter rushed over to her and whispered, "You were so brave, Mom." Television reporters and fans inched forward for a glimpse outside. Christine had only one statement. "This is for my kids. That's all that matters." Inside, Kody stayed with his lawyers. His face was red, his fists were tight. He hadn't expected this. Again, he had underestimated Christine. Day 2, the pressure mounts. The next morning, the tension hadn't dissipated. It had been ratcheted up. As people took their seats, reporters murmured in hushed tones, already assuming today would be the day of reckoning. Christine Brown strode back into court, unruffled and determined. She was dressed in a plain but powerful navy blue dress and clutched a thick leather binder. But it wasn't full of papers. It was filled to the brim with receipts, emails, screenshots, and broken promises. At her side stood her lawyer, a courtroom veteran famous for her tough, no-nonsense arguments. You could tell that they came to finish what they'd started. Kody Brown arrived a few minutes later, his stride slower, his smile forced. The cocky bravado of day 1 was replaced. Now he resembled more of a cornered man than a reality TV star. The evidence drops like a beam. Continuing the hearing, Christine's lawyer stood and walked confidently to the bench. She proceeded to present new evidence, Exhibits A through M, a set of which shocked the courtroom. Screenshots of Christine asking for child support through text messages left on read, voicemails of Kody sounding annoyed at being solicited for cash. Exhibit C, a school bill for one of their daughters, 8 months unpaid. Exhibit D, a PayPal transfer to Robyn on the very same day that Christine had asked. Additional exhibits presented failed payments, shattered verbal commitments, even birthday presents that never materialized. When Christine's lawyer presented the line, "Your Honor, this isn't about inability, this is about intentional neglect," the courtroom collectively breathed a sigh of relief. Christine stared directly at the judge and addressed him in a soft but firm voice. "He made me feel that seeking help made me a burden, but I wasn't seeking for myself, I was seeking for our children." Even gallery members who had previously defended Kody started fidgeting uncomfortably. The testimony that rattled the courtroom. The first witness was Aspen Brown, one of Christine and Kody's older daughters. Her face was nervous, her heart resolute, as she stepped onto the stand. He stopped checking in after Mom left. She started. He didn't ask how school was going, he didn't send birthday greetings to the little ones, But I saw him on vacation with Robyn's kids. It felt like we just ceased to exist. When questioned if she had ever approached her father regarding child support, Aspen said, "Yes." He said, "That's your mom's responsibility now." The room gasped. The judge hastily took notes. Kody squirmed uncomfortably. Next, Christine was called to give a personal statement. Slowly she rose, walked to the center of the room, and spoke clearly. "I gave this man 27 years of my life. I raised his children. I assisted in the creation of his brand, his lifestyle, his television empire. And when I finally stood up for myself and said that I was worthy of respect, he walked away, not just me, but our children as well. This isn't revenge. This is about recognition. You can't simply walk away from accountability when it is no longer convenient." Her voice never faltered. Her words struck like stone-carved truth. Kody fires back them and stumbles, obviously shaken. Kody's attorney stood to cross-examine. "Mrs. Brown, wouldn't you say that you chose to leave the family?" "Yes," Christine replied firmly. "I walked out of a situation that was hurting me and my children emotionally, but I didn't leave responsibility behind. He did." The attorney prodded once more. "Isn't it true you've earned money from social media, cameo videos, and interviews?" "Yes," she answered matter-of-factly. "I've done whatever I could to support my children, because someone else wouldn't, undefined." The courtroom roused again. Kody, clearly agitated, leaned over to say something quietly to his lawyer. Then unsolicited Kody suddenly got up and asked to speak before the court. The judge paused for a second and then granted it. "This isn't fair," Kody exploded. "Christine wanted this. She left me. She walked out on the family. She turned the kids against me, and now she's treating me like some deadbeat dad." The judge leaned forward, calm and resolute. "Mr. Brown, this has nothing to do with feelings. This has to do with what you legally delivered or didn't deliver. Stick to the facts." Kody attempted to reestablish his footing. He cited how he had provided for the family all these years, how he constructed them a house in Las Vegas, and how the cameras didn't capture the entire story. But Christine's attorney calmly rose and retorted, "And the bank records, Your Honor, do." Boom, thus, the financial forensics breakdown. The next section of the day was dominated by financial forensic experts. Christine's team brought in an experienced accountant who spent months going through more than 3 years' worth of Kody's banking statements. A dramatic visual graph was put on screen showing the average monthly spending patterns of Kody. Thousands flew into shopping on the internet, school fees for Robyn's kids at private schools, hotel rooms, and family holidays spent only with Robyn and her children. All while he never made even the most token contributions to Christine's family expenses. The most stunning slide was captioned, April 2022, Favoritism in Dollars. It showed $2,200 spent on clothes and gadgets for Robyn's kids, and not a penny transferred to help Christine's children that month. Even some of Kody's longtime fans sitting in the courtroom looked visibly shocked. Psychological harm exposed. Christine's ultimate bombshell was through a court-sanctioned psychological evaluation. Her youngest daughter had seen a child psychologist, and the report was being read aloud. The child felt abandoned by her father. She said, "He doesn't love us anymore because he never visits." The emotional cost of feeling rejected had apparently caused anxiety and behavioral issues at school. You could notice the pain in Christine's eyes as the words were uttered, but she didn't crack. She remained firm. Kody, however, hunched further into his chair, mouthing something to his lawyer. While most didn't pick up on it, lip readers close to the gallery reported that he mouthed, "This was a mistake coming here. Courtroom momentum flows. Christine's triumph within reach." By the time the judge asked for a recess, it was clear. The tide had shifted. Christine was no longer perceived as an angry ex-wife. She was now seen as a fierce defender and resolute mother who was fighting for what was right. Kody, once the focal patriarch of a salacious reality clan, appeared like a man whose reputation was already starting to crumble under the burden of truth and receipts. Outside, the media pounced on the story right away. Headlines were already in the works. Christine Brown blasts Kody with proof in the pockets. Child support case reveals Kody's favoritism TV. Dad's image collapses in courtroom battle. Social media was ablaze. Christine was a warrior. He emotionally and financially abandoned those children. Finally, someone's holding Kody Brown accountable. Christine for the win. Session 2 done. A humble victory. As Christine left the courtroom after that day, she was greeted with cheers from supporters standing outside the courthouse gates. Some of them held signs, others merely extended their arms with hugs and softly spoken words of encouragement. Christine smiled softly, speaking little. Only a single sentence to reporters before entering her vehicle. "You can walk away from a marriage, but not from your children." Within, Kody sat still, red-faced and unspoken. Robyn did not make eye contact with any of the people in the room. Their side of the courtroom was strained, strangely quiet. As the day's session ended, the judge's last words rang out in every part of the room. Facts presented raised serious questions about Mr. Brown's understanding of his financial responsibilities as a parent. A decision will be delivered soon. Day 3. The pressure hits its peak. The courtroom was at full capacity, tighter than ever. Day 3 of this explosive child support trial between Christine and Kody Brown felt less like a legal hearing and more like the climax of a primetime drama. Rumors were already spreading like wildfire on social media. News trucks buzzed the building like vultures sniffing out blood, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what was to come. The public meltdown. Kody Brown was about to unleash in the courtroom. Tensions were razor-sharp already. The majority of the gallery was in Christine's corner. On Kody's side, the audience had thinned, legal aides outnumbering family members. Even Robyn, his once loyal wife, seemed withdrawn. Her eyes were still fixed at the floor. Cracks in her customary poise were evident. Kody, on the other hand, sat up straight, arms crossed, jaw clenched, eyes squinting. He didn't merely look like a man about to fight. He looked about to burst. It starts with an eruption. The day began peacefully enough, all things considered. Christine's lawyers asked to present additional documentation, documents of discrepancies in Kody's alleged income. The records contained long-withheld income from TLC, endorsement agreements, fees from cameos, book royalties, and other funny money wiring into a Brown family private trust that prominently did not include Christine's kids. It was deliberate, methodical, painstakingly constructed to deconstruct every aspect of Kody's financial defense. And then, it occurred. As the judge read through the papers and Christine's lawyer started setting forth the financial details, Kody suddenly banged his hand on the table. Slam! The whole courtroom startled. A thick silence swept over the room. Without asking permission, Kody stood up. "Your Honor, I cannot remain quiet anymore," he growled. "This is a witch hunt. This has nothing to do with child support. It's about attempting to annihilate me publicly." The judge's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Brown, please be seated. You will have a chance to speak through your attorney." "With all due respect." But Kody interrupted her, his voice increasing. Christine walked away from this family. She walked. Now she's making this courtroom into her own reality show. Gasps emanated from the gallery. The judge held up her hand, quieting the commotion. The meltdown heightens. Kody started pacing in front of the courtroom like it was a stumble. His face reddened, his voice shaking with rage and desperation. "I gave everything for more than 2 decades. To this family. I provided for 18 children. I relocated us between states. I constructed houses. I made sacrifices. And this is what I receive? Shame. From the same woman who once glorified me on national TV." His attorney attempted to whisper to him, telling him to halt. But Kody wouldn't. "She's created me as the villain and dressed herself up as some hero mom. But this is what's really true. Christine quit. She desired freedom, and now she desires a payoff. Christine shifted ever so slightly in her chair at that point. She didn't blink, she didn't speak. Her look said it all, poised, firm, unemotional. Finally, the judge spoke up, firm and clear. "Mr. Brown, sit down. One more outburst and you will be held in contempt." Slowly, Kody sat back down, eyes fluttering with incredulity, muttering to himself. But the damage had been done. His breakdown had totally changed the mood in the courtroom. Christine's lawyer responds, with facts. Calm and composed, Christine's attorney stood. "Your Honor, with all due respect, this is not a witch hunt. This is a mother seeking accountability from a father." Mr. Brown's emotional outburst is exactly the pattern we've seen for the past 3 years. Erratic emotion denial and blame. She then led the court through a chronology of late payments that ran parallel to significant family milestones. Christine going public about their breakup, Kody spending more time with Robyn, media interviews in which he stated that Christine made this lifestyle choice. The chronology also revealed months in which Kody spent money on vacations, only on vacations with Robyn's children. "This is not about hurt feelings," she asserted. "It's about economic responsibility, legal duty, and the emotional well-being of young children." Kody tries to make a shift and stumbles. In a court-sanctioned statement, Kody tried to redefine his role. He framed himself as a frustrated father, overwhelmed by the demands of plural marriage, striving in uncharted times to do his best. "No other man in America has done what I've done," he declared. "I've balanced 4 marriages, raised 18 kids, handled the pressures of fame. There's no manual for this." But the judge was swift in her response. "Mr. Brown, all of that does not get you out of your legal responsibilities as a parent. You made that choice. What this court is interested in is whether or not your children were financially supported, not whether your reality TV ratings stayed high." It was devastating. A man who had once dictated his own image on television was now being bare-fleshed, laid bare by facts, law, and irrefutable evidence. The voicemail bombshell. Christine's group next presented a shocking revelation, a series of voicemails Kody left for her following the breakup. In one, he can be heard declaring, "I'm done enabling a woman who betrayed the family. Figure it out yourself. You wanted this." In another, "I'm not paying for the kids if they don't even respect me." The courtroom was silent. Even the judge seemed stunned. Christine wiped her eyes discreetly with a tissue, remaining upright. One of her children in the gallery hung its head in shame. This had long since moved beyond financial abandonment. It had become emotional manipulation and abandonment by the parents. Beyond the courtroom, reactions ignited online. Kody's courtroom collapse became viral on Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. He really said no support if the kids don't respect him? That voicemail sealed the deal. Christine deserves every dollar, and then some. The public was finally seeing what some had suspected for years, that beneath the genial TV father was a man more interested in defending his ego than his family. A surprising turnabout, Robyn speaks. One of the biggest shocks of the day was when Robyn Brown, Kody's sole surviving wife, asked to speak. With the permission of the judge, she stood up, looking shaken. "This has ripped our family asunder," she said. "I never asked Kody to quit assisting with Christine's children. I've pleaded with him to do the right thing, but he does feel hurt. He feels betrayed, and I think that skewed his thinking." Christine glanced over at Robyn, not with wrath, but with something nearer to comprehension: sorrow. Robyn's sincere confession, though, might have boomeranged. It authenticated that Kody's choices weren't made out of money, but emotion. He wasn't poor, he was bitter. The judge issues a final warning. In a stern tone, the judge spoke with both sides before adjourning the court for the day. "I want to make something absolutely clear. Parental responsibility is not subject to debate. It is not a gesture of goodwill, nor is it based on feeling." "Mr. Brown," the judge declared staunchly, "this court will consider all that has been laid before us, including your behavior during these proceedings. We will reconvene for final arguments and make a final decision shortly." She then addressed Christine. "Mrs. Brown, thank you for your professionalism. Your submitted evidence has been duly noted." As the court recessed, Christine left the courtroom quietly, again proceeding into a sea of applause from her supporters. Kody remained behind, engaged in a heated, whispered discussion with his lawyer, most likely attempting to reassess his legal strategy following the catastrophe that had just transpired. But this wasn't about holding a father accountable. This was about a public image disintegrating, a man who had been portrayed as a doting father, loving husband, and devoted family man crumbling before the public eye. TV networks were watching, fans were clamoring for answers, even his ex-wives, Janelle and Mary, had begun posting strange messages on their accounts, one of which said, "Truth has a funny way of surfacing when it matters most." Even as the bailiff demanded order, the room was held in stunned quiet. Kody Brown stood firm, exuding a blend of indignation and peaceful conviction. On the other side of the courtroom, Kody Brown sat stiff, bordered by his attorney, clenched jaw, eyes scanning the judge and the reporters now circling like vultures at the back of the room. This wasn't a hearing, it was a confrontation. Months of war in the courtroom had led to this. Kody had kept quiet for years, silently enduring betrayal, emotional abandonment, and manipulation. But when Kody informed her that he would no longer support their daughter financially unless she gave up her interest in family property, something snapped. "He's holding our daughter hostage," she said through gritted teeth to her lawyer. "I won't stand for it." From that moment on, Kody lost the guise of the demure, subservient ex-wife. She started building files, screenshots, legal papers, witness statements, even clips from Sister Wives episodes, all depicting a very different man than the one acting in court. When the trial resumed, Kody's lawyer introduced their final witness, a former TLC producer who had worked closely with the Browns for over a decade. "I was there behind the scenes," he testified. Kody handled the kids' finances, the emotional labor, while Kody played house with Robyn. He was rarely around. The judge, known for her firm and fair rulings, narrowed her eyes. "And this continued even after they separated?" "Yes, Your Honor." After Kody lived with Robyn full-time, he ceased paying altogether. Kody was forced to pay all of Truly's expenses herself. A murmur of whispers swept through the court. Kody's attorney attempted to object, but the judge quickly overruled it. "Objection overruled. This is pertinent." Kody remained frozen, her eyes on the judge. Inside, she felt the tide turn. Previous Kody had asserted financial need maintaining, he couldn't make regular child support. But Kody's lawyers had brought in a forensic accountant, and what they found was staggering. Mr. Brown has a series of LLCs that he keeps under various names the expert disclosed. One of them was created just a few weeks after Kody initiated child support. Money has been routed through shell companies. Assets have been transferred into Robyn's name. He's deliberately coming across as broke on paper. A room full of gasps erupted. The judge hunched forward. "Are you indicating that the defendant intentionally concealed assets in order to stay out of paying his child support?" "That is what we are alleging, Your Honor. We followed more than $4,200 in the past 18 months, none paid toward his children." Kody shot a look at Kody, but he avoided her gaze. Robyn, who had been at previous hearings, wasn't there that day. When the judge requested a brief recess, Kody walked out and was immediately mobbed by reporters. Microphones filled her face. "Kody, how do you feel about the case so far?" She hesitated, then stared straight into one camera. Too many women remain silent in order to keep the peace. But when your child is refused what she's worthy of, you resist. This isn't about me, it's about every mother who's been asked to take crumbs and smile. Her words crashed through the internet like a shockwave. Within hours, the video went viral. Social media erupted with hashtags such as hashtag Justice for Kody, hashtag Kody Brown Exposed, and hashtag Truly Deserves Better. Even mainstream news media reported on the story: CNN, TMZ, The View. Everyone was reporting on the spectacle of a beloved polygamous leader fallen by the woman who left him. After weeks of testimony, hearings, and reviewing evidence, the judge finally came back with her ruling. Slowly but surely, she presented the findings: Kody's history of neglect, the financial manipulation, the denial to help Truly, the shell companies, and Kody's steadfast position as sole caregiver and provider. Then the verdict everyone was waiting for. This court rules in favor of Kody Brown. Kody Brown is hereby ordered to pay $4,500 a month in child support dating back to the date of separation, the judge stated, and he'll pay $7,500 for restitution for unpaid care and withheld marital funds. The courtroom exploded. Kody closed her eyes, tears pricked, but they weren't tears of grief. They were tears of relief, of finally served justice. For the first time in years, she was seen, heard, and validated. Kody, on the other hand, sat like a statue, his face a granite mask, lips pursed, jaw clenched. His once tightly grip-wielded kingdom of control was crumbling, there, right out in the public eye. But the judge wasn't done. Additionally, this court is referring the issue of hidden assets and fraudulent financial reports to the county prosecutor's office for possible investigation. Boom. That was it. This was not just a victory in the courtroom, it was a wholesale public humiliation, a reckoning, and the aftermath was swift. In a span of only 48 hours, TLC released a public statement acknowledging that they were re-evaluating the structure and direction of future seasons of Sister Wives. The rumors spread like wildfire. Kody might be cut from the show altogether. Kody may be the focus of a new spin-off dealing with her life following the split. Fans mobilized in her defense, book contracts were offered, podcast networks began negotiating offers. Kody Brown was no longer a reality TV star. She was a movement. A voice for women who fought back, who stood their ground and weren't silenced. Kody, on the other hand, went dark. No tweets, no comments, nothing. Robyn, she erased her existence from social media entirely, deleted all accounts, vanished online as quickly as opinion turned against her. Paparazzi photographed Kody exiting another courthouse weeks later, this time without his trademark swagger, his shoulders hunched, his eyes empty. Whatever he had been, he was no more. Following the ruling, Kody posted on Instagram with a tearful message. "This win isn't mine," she posted. "It is all of the women who've had to go into that courtroom and battle just to ensure her child receives what they deserve. To each of you, keep up the fight. You are more powerful than you realize." Then the news that really touched hearts all over the internet. Kody was starting a new foundation, dedicated to helping single mothers through family court proceedings. What did it stand for? Truly strong, both an honor to her daughter and a testament to the inner strength of all mothers who will not be broken. As the doors of the courtroom closed on him that last day, Kody Brown felt it. The weight, the silence, the frightening thought that this wasn't merely a legal loss. It was a total breakdown. Of his reputation, of his authority, of it all. That night, Kody sat by himself in his now quiet, darkened living room. The formerly boisterous family home had become eerily quiet. The children's laughter, the women's gossip, the reassuring commotion of a former lively polygamist home, it was all gone, reduced to a distant memory. Now there was nothing but cold silence. And regret. The trial with Kody had devastated him. The judge's verdict didn't merely require payments, it delivered a message loud and clear. Even the mighty fall, especially those who forget how to listen. Standing blankly in his window, gazing out into his vacant driveway, Kody wasn't considering restitution. He wasn't considering financial reports. He was considering memories, birthday parties, family dinners, broken promises. He whispered into the emptiness, "How did it come to this?" But deep down, he already knew the answer. In the meantime, Kody glowed. And not only because of the victory, but because of what victory had meant. It was never revenge. It was justice. It was for keeping her babies safe, for taking back her voice, and for fighting for every time she'd had to smile through brokenness. She had relocated to a cozy, tranquil residence in Utah, nearer to family, nearer to love that didn't have strings attached. Her children were flourishing. Kody could finally breathe for the first time in years. She could laugh without shame. She was free, and the public adored her for it. Social media erupted in celebration. Team Kody was trending across the country. Women from all corners of America praised her as courageous, strong, inspiring. She was a symbol of courage, of standing up for what's yours, of walking away from something that no longer benefits you. In Flagstaff, meanwhile, at the Brown family's broken home base, things had significantly shifted. Robyn, once fully convinced that she was the chosen one, now sat isolated, seeing the tide turn against her. She had stuck with Kody through the trial, even testified on his behalf. But her fidelity came back to bite her. Viewers called her manipulative. Critics charged that she had facilitated his demise. Her kids suffered too, bullied in school, gossiped about within their community. Robyn had envisioned a harmonious, plural family. Now she dwelled in the wreckage of a broken dream. Janelle, however, had silently started to drift away. She hadn't been called to testify in court, but she'd followed the trial closely with tired eyes. And something within her changed also. She bore scars of her own. But seeing Christine survive and fight back emboldened Janelle with the strength she didn't realize she still possessed. Whispers began to circulate. Could Janelle be next? She hadn't spoken to Kody in weeks. Their texts were curt, the calls even more so. Whatever trust they had been built on was long broken. If Kody believed he could just ride out the turmoil, he was grossly in error. The media shredded him. Headlines blared. Kody Brown, father of 18, now father of none, from patriarch to pariah, polygamy. Dream ends in courtroom disaster. Christine Brown sets legal precedent for reality TV moms. His fandom fell apart. Even his die-hard viewers started posing the hard questions. Podcasts deconstructed each aspect of his courtroom behavior. Body language professionals portrayed him as evasive, disconnected, defensive. And to add insult to injury, sponsorships began disappearing. TLC, the same network that produced Sister Wives, released a chilly, calculated statement. We are reconsidering future production schedules with the Brown family. Kody, who was once the star of a reality TV empire, had become poisonous. But the hardest hit? His kids. Some of them stood proudly beside their mom. One of her fan favorites, Mama Belle, even tweeted, "She did what we never thought she could." Others were conflicted, however. Garrison and Gabriel, who were already at odds with Kody, started speaking up in interviews. They bared their souls about the emotional manipulation, the favoritism, the years of neglect. He was never really around, Gabriel explained in one clip, unless the cameras were rolling. Only a handful of the younger children, primarily those around Robyn, remained loyal, but even that was beginning to fray under the pressure of increasing public attention. Insiders started spilling the beans. Kody had descended into deep depression. He was said to be drinking more, isolating himself from friends, and rejecting any form of therapy. He'd sit for hours watching reruns of Sister Wives. He only watches the good years, a source revealed. It's like he's stuck in a loop. Late one evening, Kody would call Christine, sometimes to apologize, sometimes to vent over betrayal. She finally stopped answering. In despair, he even tried calling producers, pleading for a special show to restore his reputation. They turned him down. He soon quit taking calls from anyone. Then came the video. Christine posted a raw, unedited video to her social media. No makeup, no elaborate backdrop, just her sitting in a garden with coffee. To every woman who's ever felt invisible in her own home, to every mom who's cried alone behind a locked bathroom door, to every wife who kept the peace while her heart broke, I see you, and you deserve better. The clip blew up. It went viral in one night. Millions viewed, millions posted. The comments rolled in, declaring her a hero. That one 3-minute instant was the nail in the coffin of any remaining public support Kody might have enjoyed. And then the second court decision. Christine's lawyers had requested full financial back pay, unpaid child support, medical bills dating back years, and the judge granted it. And this time, Kody was court-ordered to pay over $20,500, money he didn't have. And with this financial disaster going alongside ruined assets and a tattered reputation, the hit was devastating. Court documents would reveal that property had already been mortgaged to cover legal costs. Now, Kody might lose his home altogether. Kody Brown, erstwhile polygamist man of 4 wives, 18 children, and a network hit show, now stood to face foreclosure and obscurity. TLC broadcast one last moment. A bare-bones sit-down interview with Kody. His eyes were ringed with fatigue, and his voice broke. "Maybe I screwed up," he admitted. "Maybe I didn't listen enough. Maybe I believed too much in myself and not enough in them." He swallowed hard, then took a deep breath. "But I still love them. All of them. I always will." The screen gradually darkened to black. No music, no promos, just nothing. And the title, "To be continued." But this is not the end of the Brown family saga. If anything, it's the beginning of a whole new chapter. Next episode, we'll be sharing how Robyn is preparing for life post-Kody and whether Janelle is ready to leave too. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and enable notifications, because what's coming next is something you don't want to miss.